Whenever you're ready, we'll go. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Kansas City, Kansas Community College Board of Trustees to order on May 21st, 2024. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, which I'll lead this evening. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll now read the KCKCC mission statement, which is to inspire individuals and enrich our community, one student at a time. Cheryl, could we have roll call, please?
Trustee Ash.
Here.
Vice Chair Criswell.
Here.
Trustee Gilstrap.
Here.
Trustee Hoskins Sutton. Here. Chair Isnard.
Here.
Trustee-elect Ricketts.
Here.
Trustee Scruggs Andrieu.
Here.
My mic was off, but I am here. Trustee Hoskins Sutton.
All right,
Thank
you. At this time, I would invite Dr. Mosier to share a few words about a tragedy that we've learned about recently. A student of ours, Mike Taylor. Dr. Mosier.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Isnard. It really kind of is a sad day and a sad time for the college right now. A couple weeks ago, we had a student, McKees Taylor, who went home to spend time with family and a young baby of theirs. And during his time away from the college, was basically shot and killed. So he was a great individual, growing up to be a very good young man who was, you could tell, was going to grow into just a great man. And the things that he did and the way he really reached out and touched and befriended people and treated people. So it's quite a loss to KCKCC and our family, but even more so to his family and the family that he was starting. So we think about him, we're praying about him, and at this time I would like to ask that we pause for a moment of silence for McKees Taylor. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mosier. At this time, I would call for a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
So moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Sorry. I did. Okay, next on the agenda this evening is the audience to patrons and petitioners. At this time, I'd invite the public to raise their hands in the chat or approach the podium for the opportunity to address the board. Addressees must state their name and address for the record before making their comment or question, and there is a 5-minute time limit. And do we have anyone in the chat?
There is no one in the chat.
Do we have one approaching the podium? No? Okay. Moving on, next we will have the recognitions and presentations. We will begin with the oath of office presentation for newly appointed trustee, Miss Mary Ricketts. And Mary, if you want to join me in the center. right, if you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Mary Ricketts,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully and honestly perform the duties of my office
and faithfully and honestly perform the duties of my office
as member of the Kansas City, Kansas Community College Board of Trustees,
as member of the Kansas City, Kansas Community College Board of Trustees,
Wyandotte County,
Wyandotte County,
State of Kansas.
State of Kansas.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
And then there were 7.
Finally.
Feels good to have a full board again.
does.
All right, at this time, Trustee Ricketts, if you have any words that you'd like to share or do a brief self-introduction, you have the floor.
Thank you. I did put together just a few words so that I don't ramble. But let me first say thank you. Thank you for the trust and confidence that you've placed in me and elected me to our trustee board of Kansas City, Kansas Community College. I am deeply honored to serve and commit to focusing my efforts on the advancement of our students, the growth of our college, and the well-being of our community. If you haven't heard me say it before, I am an original Dot, and I'm excited to serve and just live right in the heart of our community. Thank you.
Glad to have you as part of the team.
Yes, thank you. Looking forward to your leadership on the board and appreciate your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is the presentation of the KCKCC Annual Student Research Symposium presentation by Mr. Robert Hartman, a KCKCC student.
Hello.
Evening.
My name is Robert Hartman, Robert Joel Hartman, and I am currently doing the research, the impact of online learning on students. And I'm currently a student here at Kansas City, Kansas Community College, and I plan on going to the UMKC to further my research this fall. Before I move on, I want to thank academic support counselor, or coordinator Pat Kelly, for the instrument design and the data collection involved in this research. So beginning with significance of the prior research, which serves as the basis of my research, we take into account these points, which is students' perspectives of online learning. Student opinions about online learning vary based on course content, delivery methods, and individual learning styles, with some appreciating flexibility while others missing the social interactions and immediate feedback of in-person learning. You also have the effectiveness of learning methods. The effectiveness of online learning and blended learning methods on student outcomes is mixed, influenced by context and the alignment of teaching strategies with active and personalized learning experiences. You also have the challenges of online learning that are faced, which are concentration difficulties, feelings of isolation, and technical issues, which can hinder comprehension and practical learning in online environments. And then with all of this, you have to keep into account the student's mental health within the online learning environments, which have been noted to negatively impact students' mental health due to social isolation and the absence of in-person interactions previously exacerbated by COVID-19. So my current findings that are built upon that, you have the top 3 factors that influence online learning, with course content, with those being course content, interaction with the instructor, and the platform, whether it be Blackboard or Canvas, because I know some institutions use other platforms, specifically the interface and how students interact with that. This specific finding underscores the importance of engaging material, effective communication, and accessible technology for online education. It also highlights areas for improvement. These factors point towards enhancing the overall online learning experience. Moving on, you have factors that impact online learning engagement and motivation, and the top findings being quality of course content, interaction with instructors, and flexibility of the schedule. 31% of students saw mental health improvements, whether it be pardon me. The flexibility of schedule followed by quality of course content, instructor and peer interaction, and technical issues. This finding indicates a strong preference for adaptable learning environments, emphasizing importance of these factors and that flexibility, content quality, and effective communication needs are met. Moving on to the mental health fluctuations within the online learning environment. 31% of students saw mental health improvement, 60% saw no change or worsening mental health conditions, 5% had other experiences. This data reveals the complexity of the online learning environment and the mental well-being of students within the online learning environment. This suggests for the need for more mental health supports, specifically within online learning. And then throughout all of this, I attempted to quantify the mental health effects of online learning with using a chi-square test, which revealed the results were not significantly different from the expected outcome. That being that this is an exploratory study, the sample size was not large enough, therefore the statistics they weren't significant. So that leads me to further areas of interest, being expanding our research scope, which would include diverse participant demographics and education settings for more comprehensive insights. And then we would also assess the effectiveness and adaptability of online learning models over time with longitudinal and comparative studies. We would also investigate the psychological impacts specifically within the online learning environment through conducting more research and getting more opinions on it from students. And then we would also explore technology integration through innovative curriculum design, specifically the platforms that this education is delivered to. And then these are my references and sources. I would like to thank Dr. Kim Bennett at UMKC and Professor Victor Ammons at KCKCC they're going to be helping me with my future research. Thank you.
Impressive work.
Very good
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you. Any questions?
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Here he comes back. Any questions
Yeah.
for this student?
Do you take any online classes and yourself or?
Yes, I do take online classes myself. I'm currently taking like a few in the summer, and I've taken a few in the past. Some have been blended learning, hybrid, delivered via Zoom, sometimes in person as well.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference?
Me personally, I like in-person learning, specifically because I have immediate feedback, and I feel like it helps me stay more focused as it holds me to be more accountable. That's my opinion.
Yeah. What about if you had a choice between asynchronous or synchronous or hybrid online? If you working within the virtual world of those three options.
I think a hybrid is good, but I do believe that offering as many possibilities is good for the student. So somebody might prefer it all online, as noted in the research, which is like flexibility. Some people are parents and some people are full-time workers, and it's like pure online works for them, but for me it's something more in person, more hybrid, but it all depends on the person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, and that's what I was getting to, is we need a mixture of all. We shouldn't go to all of one platform. It needs to
For
be
sure.
a mixture, yeah.
Exactly.
Because of learning styles too, yes. Okay, thank you. That
good
was
point.
very informative.
Or a
Trustee
couple more
Andrea.
questions here.
What test did you use to determine the mental health of the students?
A chi-square test to quantify it.
Tri-score?
Chi-square, CHI square test.
Who's that by?
Hmm?
Who is that by?
That's just the name of the test. I don't think it's by anybody specific.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't get that, but I just know that it's common to use within
It's a
quantifying things.
It's
Pardon
a
me if I have it
style-
wong.
It's a style of data analysis. the
So it's not a
chi-square.
particular psychological test?
It's a way that can compare results from feedback that you received from test respondents.
But it's not a psychological test?
I don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah, it seems like it's not. It's a correlation between, yeah, okay.
You
Right,
had,
but
Thank
it's still a way of synthesizing and quantifying data, whether
Yeah,
it's
data, but-
psychological data or, other data.
Qualifying data is not a psychological test of mental health. So
No,
that's
I'm
what
not saying that it is. I'm just saying
Okay.
that the chi-square is a a common method, if you will, for for quantifying that data. That was my only point. I'm not
okay.
in the psychological field, so I would
and
not
my
be
question-
qualified to.
Yeah, and my
Looks like we've
question
got a
was
member of the
which-
staff approaching the podium that may have some more information for us.
Yes, thank you.
During the exploratory study, we selected not to do a particular psychometric measure.
Okay.
At this time, we just need to know what were the data out there, and that's when he chose to use a chi-square.
So it was just student report of what they thought their mental health was, not a psychological evaluation of the mental health.
It was a tangential assessment. However, when we go into the data in the larger robust study, that's when we use a few psychological tools.
Okay, thank you.
Robert, if I may ask a question, little question and comment at the same time. I was so excited to see this study that you're doing, because you're in my world of learning and development. A couple things that came to mind, especially we look at adult learning styles, and I know that that's what Trustee Sutton was thinking of and speaking about as well. Are you considering taking any pre-assessments to understand what particular learning styles the participants may have, and then comparing that to those of us that either love or possibly despise online learning?
Well, yes, I think that we do need to give prior assessments for knowing what learning styles the participants need or like enjoy in order to effectively assess whether or not online learning or in-person learning is for them.
Good job. Congratulations on your work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Trustee Ash?
The cohort that provided the data, were they from KCKCC or were they from somewhere else?
Yes, from Kansas City, Kansas Community College, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Very good job.
Well
Thank
done,
you.
thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda this evening is communications, and there are none scheduled. So moving right along, we will begin the board committee reports section, starting with the board finance committee. Trustee
Okay,
Criswell.
thank you so much, Chair Isnard. Hold on, let me make sure I'm not on mute here. I was a second ago. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, the Kansas City, Kansas Community College Board of, Finance Committee met on May 14th, and the highlights are as follows. First, of course, we're going to start off with Kansas City, Kansas Community College's financial position, because it's important to state and to continue to state, as as time goes by, that the college's financial position remains strong, and the college continues to effectively manage its financial resources. Next topic is the board financial training. My understanding is that is scheduled for June 11th. And the training will be targeted not only at new board members, but it will also be open to non-new board members as a refresher. Next item is Novak Burks, PC, the outside auditor for KCKCC. There'll be some further discussion this evening about whether we should continue to retain them as the outside auditor for KCKCC. Next item is Ms. Roshine delivered an update on the college's key investments, and she has provided greater detail within her board report. So if you'd like to delve into that, that would be great. And then she'll be giving some other financial updates later on in the board meeting. A couple other items, excuse me. Financial items, of course, that we need to continue to monitor. First would be the unemployment rates and the effect on enrollment. As you know, lower unemployment rates trend with lower enrollment rates for community colleges, as potential students are employed in the workforce rather than enrolling in college. And although area unemployment rates for Wyandotte County and the state of Kansas were slightly lower a few months ago, the college continues to strategize and just really make sure that we're doing all that we can to continue to attract potential students. Next item is the unemployment rates and high job availability and the effect on hiring. Combination of low unemployment rates in Wyandotte County and the availability of well-paying jobs are making it more difficult for the college to attract quality candidates for position openings, particularly in certain areas. So, of course, KCKCC continues to work to attract quality candidates. Final item, downtown campus. Much of this is contained within Dr. Mosier's report. I, of course, would not even attempt to try to steal any of his thunder. So the downtown update will, of course, be delivered by Dr. Mosier a little bit later on in this meeting. Are there any questions?
Yes, Vice Chair, clarification on the board finance training. Is this the same one that we already took from Heather, or is this a different one? You know, we had the training.
I think this is one specific to this board.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Because
So
I thought,
not the one that KACC did, Linda. No, this training will be specific for just us.
okay.
Yes.
Well, that's what I thought, but then it seems like it was being presented by Heather again. Is it?
There's another.
Well, she has a second one scheduled,
Okay.
but it's separate from
All right.
what's referenced here.
So the one on the 11th is specifically for us?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, for the KCKCC board. That's exactly right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure. Thank you, trustees Ash and Hoskins Sutton. Any other questions?
Thank
Okay,
you.
that
Vice
is
Chair
the end of my
Criswell.
report. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, if there are no other questions, do we have a motion to accept the report, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next committee would be the Board Policy Committee, but I do know that we did not meet this month because there were no policies ready. Trustee Hoskins Sutton, if you have anything you'd like to add to that, go ahead.
No, that's right, Chair Isnard. And so with the Senate's being out for the summer, we will not meet again until the fall.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll be working on policies, but we don't have anything to bring to the board during the summer.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to accept that report, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is the Board Community Engagement Committee. Trustee Ash.
Yes, the Board Community Engagement Committee did not meet this month. We're in the process of switching some members, and so my plan is that after tonight, since we now have Trustee Ricketts on board with us, she and Trustee Sutton and I'll huddle with Chris after the meeting, and we'll figure out when we're going to meet here. Hopefully, soon we can meet, and then we can report. Hopefully, we'll meet once, maybe twice, before our meeting in June, and then we can update at that time.
All right, thank you. Trustee Ricketts, I forgot to mention I was planning on recruiting you for that committee, so.
Yeah, I heard it through the grapevine. I didn't hear it.
All right, thank you, Trustee Ash. Do you have a motion to approve the report, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And back to Trustee Ash for the ACCT/KACC delegate report.
Okay, well, it's been a busy time between the legislature and getting ready for the quarterly meeting, which will be in at Butler Community College, I believe the Andover campus, and May 31st. So Friday, May 31st, Saturday, June 1st. I think some of the other trustees, I think there's a group of us that are planning to go. Other than that, it's just kind of scrambling. They finished the session, although they believe they're going to be called back into a special session because they didn't get a tax bill passed. So I haven't heard when that session is. Have you heard, Dr. Moser? Has the governor called it yet?
I believe it's already started.
Oh, okay. All right. So hopefully, we'll have they'll finish that work, and then obviously, that will determine, I think, finally where we're going to come out. But I think we're going to be in pretty good shape, from this legislative session up there. So when we meet in Andover, I think we'll be able to bring back some pretty specific information at that point. till then, there's not very much else to report.
All right, looking forward to hearing more. Thank you, Trustee Ash. Any questions for Trustee Ash, or do we have a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to look through those. If there are no items that any trustee would like to pull, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. That brings us to the Student Senate report, and they are here, okay, with Miss Elizabeth Daniels, Student Senate President, and Miss Eden Barnes, Student Senate Vice President. Good evening.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
It's just me speaking today. Our vice president is out somewhere. But good afternoon. On Wednesday, May 2nd, the Student Senate hosted the end of the year bash. We had laser tag and a gaming truck for students, staff, and faculty. It was really a great time. It was just nice having like one little last hurrah with everyone before most of us graduated. So it was a really nice celebration. On Sunday, May 5th, the Student Senate hosted a college-wide study night. This was to help students prepare for finals week the following week. We had a couple of students show up, and we plan to do this again, probably maybe twice a semester, around midterms and, of course, around finals for each semester. We plan to make this like an annual thing. Let's see, we have about 5 returning candidates for the 2024-2025 Student Senate, and an additional about 4 or 5 new candidates who have shown interest in joining Student Senate next year. The outgoing and incoming Student Senate members will meet on Friday, June 28th for a retreat. We will discuss new policies and procedures for this upcoming Student Senate, and I'm really excited for it. The Student Senate advisor, Mark Nelson, will lead the retreat. Also, the Vanguard Awards on Saturday, June 8th at 2 p.m. at the Performing Arts Center. Several outstanding community members will be honored, including myself and the outgoing Student Senate Vice President, Eden Barnes, including as well the president of KCKCC, Dr. Greg Mosier. He will be receiving the Innovation Award. So thank you for that. And then one of the biggest innovations, of course, being the dorms, which I myself have lived in, and thank you for those. They are really nice. Additionally, FBOE Day will be on June 29th. FBOE will be celebrating a year since receiving its proclamation from the mayor. Some of the students and myself, and of course some of the students from Student Senate, will go to Wilson's Pizza on Quindaro to celebrate, and we are hoping to organize a formal reception to celebrate this event. Any questions?
I just say very good job this year. You did a wonderful
Thank
job
you.
as Student Senate President, and
Thank you.
really brought a lot of engagement to the students. So thank you for that.
It was an honor to serve as Student Senate President and to serve as a student leader on this campus. So I will surely miss it, but it was a great honor to be in such a position. So thank you.
Great job, Elizabeth, and congratulations. And I
Thank
hope
you.
that there are lots of pictures that we can come back and take a look at.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service. We appreciate it, and congratulations on your graduation too.
Thank you.
It's good to see you walk across the stage.
It felt very weird to walk across the stage because I've been here for so long, but it felt nice. I felt very accomplished.
Yeah.
Where are you off to next?
Actually, this will probably not be the last time you see me because I will be at the Technical Center to get my nail certificate, and then I will transfer to Wichita State University.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
That's great.
Congratulations again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Great
Good
job.
job well done.
Thank you.
All right.
If there are no other questions, could we have a motion to accept the report, please?
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the President's Report with Dr. Mosher.
Yes, thank you, Chair Isnard. First, welcome, Trustee Ricketts. It's very glad to have you on the Board of Trustees and look forward to working with you. We've got a lot of great times ahead of us, so very good. Once again, you know, May is a very busy month, especially with college-related activities. First, I have to say, what a beautiful commencement ceremony. And there's so many people that put that together within student affairs and all the different offices and people volunteering and just the whole works. So we were very fortunate on the weather, very blessed about that. That was like loss of 3 or 4 days of sleep leading up to that, but it all turned out for the best. But it was done very well. So thank you for everyone who you know, had a part in making that a reality and such a great event for our students. This last month, we had the Foundation's Hall of Fame on April 19th. Again, a nice event, and inducted 4 more individuals into the Hall of Fame. We had a Youth Apprentice Proclamation signing event with Governor Kelly, and I was very fortunate to be asked to attend for the community colleges representing the state of Kansas for community colleges with the work that we're really spearheading and moving quickly towards around apprenticeship. And this was for youth apprenticeship, and we have just recently been signed on and approved as a youth apprenticeship offering entity. That's going to be terrific for our young people in our community and for our businesses, because one of the reasons why businesses won't bring on individuals under the age of 18 as an apprentice is that they cannot be covered with insurance while they're at work. So as an official apprenticeship site, we can have 16 and 17-year-olds out there coming and doing work at the college and then going to their work site for their apprenticeship work. And the employers don't have to worry about them from an insurance standpoint. So we will be growing that significantly in the next few years. Nursing pinning ceremony was last week as well. We had a few trustees with us, and that was a very nice event. It was more of an intimate event because it was in the Performing Arts Center while we work on the basketball floor. So it's kind of a nice touch, and we'll see how they decide to continue to do that in the future. And we also had the joint KCKCC Board of Trustees and College Senate lunch and meeting. And I think that went really well and some really good conversation between the group. So I appreciate those who were able to attend. This Thursday at 7 o'clock, also at the PAC, we have our GED completion ceremony, so you're all invited to that. It's always a very heartwarming event because people have worked so hard to earn their GEDs, no matter whether they're 17 or 71. So it's always a great event. And we had, I already mentioned our Hall of Fame. So we had at our Employee Appreciation and Service Awards event a total of 125 Blue Devils who are recognized on that day for years of service and retirement, equaling 1,630 combined years of service with those individuals. So that's always very heartwarming. I mentioned that we were just approved by the Kansas Department of Apprenticeship to be a youth apprenticeship site. We're talking, and we've talked about this in the past, but we have now signed with the American Association of Community Colleges for the $200,000 non-competitive award to work on taking and building our industrial maintenance technology on-campus one-semester program into an apprenticeship model where they will be on site for 2 weeks, and then this is also sponsored by Panasonic, so all of these are Panasonic students. They'll be on campus for 2 weeks, then they'll be at Panasonic for 2 weeks. They'll be on campus for 2 weeks and Panasonic for 2 weeks for that 16-week period. First, they have to be hired by Panasonic, and then they select them to send them to this training. So they will already be making about $45,000 or $50,000 per year while they are hired, while they're going through this apprenticeship program. And they'll complete in 1 semester, and over 2 years, we plan to serve 200 students, and then we'll expand upon that into the advanced training. So we have another meeting coming up with the Vice President for Panasonic for Operational Excellence, Walt Miller. And if you just saw in the Kansas City Business Journal, Walt has been talking about a project that they have been working on. They just received a 3rd contract to build a different type of battery at the DeSoto manufacturing facility, and it is for Class 8 semis. So it's a German company, but it's a very high-powered unit. So they'll be doing Toyota, Tesla, and now this semi battery. So that will add more workforce needs to the plant than what was already being discussed. So we're really happy about that and moving that forward. On June 5th, we'll have the dedication ceremony of the Dr. Marjorie Blank Child Care Building. That's at 10 o'clock. So if you are interested in coming, please put that on your calendar. Followed by the Foundation Scholarship Luncheon at 11:30 that day. Then followed by the University of Kansas Hospital Hall of Fame that night, where we will be recognized as a partner of choice for the great work that we're doing with our GED program at the hospital. On June 6th, we'll be able to go and celebrate with Dr. Balog his completion of Kansas City Tomorrow. He may have more to add in his comments. We are working on the budget process, and in June we will bring you the 2nd revision to the budget work that we have been doing as we're continuing to kind of clean up and maybe cut more here, and maybe we forgot to add a personnel over here or things like that. So it's getting to be very fine-tuned, and we'll have some recommendations at the June meeting. Leslie may have more information on that. And then finally, downtown. So after 5 years of working on this project, at the May 13th, 2024 Board of Zoning Commission meeting, KCKCC and our partners received unanimous approval for our final development plan, which is all the exterior of the building, including landscaping, street work, etc., and unanimous approval of taking all of those individual lots and putting them in one plat, which will fall as property of the college. So the college will own the land. So both of those have been approved, and now we're continuing to work away on getting our construction permits. We have Phase 1 and Phase 2 that are currently being reviewed by the unified government, and we're trying to work on those just as quickly as we can. It's just going to be amazing for the KCK urban core and the surrounding areas, so we're really excited about getting all of the approvals. We don't have to go to the full commission because it was unanimous at the Board of Zoning, so that was good news. So with that couple minutes of celebration, we go back to work. Mm-hmm. We're still working on the shoring that's taking place underground in the basements of those buildings up against State Avenue. We're probably about 2/3 of the way complete with that work. And we're doing a lot of legal work. I think Greg and Goheen and Leslie and I have spent about 4 hours together today because we have such a mix of financial support to this project that it gets complicated as we're working on different things. So for new market tax credits with KCKCC and SWOPE combined, that's about $7 million. So we're making sure we're working with the banking entities and such because things have to be just right within the association bylaws and the articles of incorporation and the language in the contract with the general contractor. So we're making adjustments so that we still stay in line for that. And then working to obtain our tax exempt certificate. It's not an issue for KCKCC or for SWOPE Health, as we are a 501c3. CACU is tax exempt, but not a 501c3. They're federally tax exempt on profits. So we're making some modifications there because we have to get a tax exempt certificate in order to give to McCowan Gordon so that they can release the RFPs so the subs know that we are tax exempt as a project. So a lot of those things working at the same time, because we still have the building permits in the works at the unified government. It's really not slowing us down quite yet, but we want to make sure it doesn't. So we're working on that just as quickly as possible. Let's see. Also with the latest $3 million grant, congressional directed funding, we're waiting guidance from the Department of Labor on how we need to track certain groups of individuals. Mostly it's low income versus racial groups. It's more income-based groups for this tracking, for this type of funding. And then recently, and I'm sure Chris will have more information, we have become the official educational partner of the KCK Monarchs for their baseball team. We've got some great signage, so when you get out there, you'll see that, and she'll talk more about the things that they'll be doing. And then it is official that we did get the Downbeat magazine in. So it has KCKCC's winning 12 awards, and again, marketing did just a fantastic job on putting together the ad for the magazine. So I'm trying to get the glare off it from the lights. So great job by everyone on that. And then lastly, Randy, if you're about ready, we're closing out our academic year. This is the academic year for our centennial. So we have had the one more centennial tribute that went up a couple weeks ago. And for those of you that haven't seen it, we're going to have Randy play it now.
I absolutely love that.
So that sits outside the humanities door and by administration.
Nice.
So
I like that.
thank you.
I love it. Yeah.
They have a little more work to do on it, but it's just, I think it's a landmark for KCKCC for the years to come.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. I like that.
Thank you. There's about a year in the works, trying to get someone to manufacture it and get it to rotate like that. But anyway, with that, I will conclude my report.
Awesome.
Sorry it was so long.
Oh, excellent report.
It sounds like it's been a pretty slow month. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a little slow. I've been getting my naps in. And
It's a slow month.
Great
Move
things
approval of the
happening as
report.
always.
And is Dr. Mosher, can I ask a
Second.
quick question?
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
Just on the, just a thought in my head. When it comes to our apprenticeship with Panasonic and the 16-week training, are we providing transportation to and from our campus to Panasonic, or is
That has
strictly on the
not
students?
been a part of the conversation yet, and we'll work with Panasonic on that, and where depending on where people live and all of that. But we're getting together I think, in 2 weeks to further those conversations. That's a great idea.
All right, thank you. We have a motion to approve the report on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have the Executive Vice President's report with Dr. Scott Baylog. Evening.
Thank you. Good evening. Chair Isnard, you mentioned not a lot going on. The President and I were meeting this afternoon, and we both shared the same sentiment. We're just tired, physically tired, mentally tired. It has been a grind, but we love it. We love the work, and we're grateful for your support in helping to really transform this institution and the community that we serve. My report will include some highlights from my monthly update. It will center on strategy, partnerships, and operations. We continue our review of data tools and technology solutions with information services, institutional effectiveness, and other college departments. This is in anticipation of a tech modernization later this year. That will come on the heels of hiring a new chief information officer to shepherd that work. We actually are hosting tonight guests from Ellucian. Ellucian colleague is our student information system, and we appreciate their support and their attendance here this evening at our board meeting. We're also developing a strategy to better engage our local high schools and their students. We have had great conversations recently with the local superintendents, the school principals, and really trying to have a more cohesive way in which we operate and working with those schools, working collaboratively with them, breaking down silos within our own operation so that the work that we do is highly complementary. So as we're thinking about the future in Leavenworth County, how can we think about career and technical education programming that complements what the school district is also already offering? Their school principals are very interested and hungry to grow opportunities for their students in career and technical education. So we feel well positioned, like where the conversations are in the community, also those that we're having internally, namely working with high school partnerships, admissions, and our satellite centers to serve as liaison or extensions of those offices here on campus. And then we just kicked off a new faculty bargaining cycle that I'm sure Vice President for Academic Affairs, Jerry Pope, will share more with you about that during his comments. In partnerships, we're continuing to develop and enhance strategic relationships with business and industry and other organizations across the metro, in KCK, and in Leavenworth County. In May, we presented a vision for a new workforce development system across the KC Metro. That was with KC Rising's Workforce Action Team. I will continue to serve as a co-chair in the year ahead with KC Rising and with that Workforce Action Team. We were recognized for the work product that we presented to the leadership team and the steering committee at the Horizon event last week. We also met with leaders from the DeBruce Foundation to explore partnership and engagement opportunities between our foundation here at the college, KCKCC, and KC Rising. We will continue those conversations in the next month. We're excited about where that's headed and leveraging some of the solutions that they've developed, whether it be in our Blue course, also within career services, but all of those are complementary, but we want to grow the relationship that we have with the DeBruce Foundation. As the President mentioned, I've completed the Kansas City Tomorrow program year. Great year. Can't think of a better way to orient to the Kansas City Metro than participating in that program, sponsored by the Civic Council of Greater Kansas City. Tremendous year. I was actually selected among my peers. It's not been announced yet, but will be announced actually at the graduation ceremony. Selected among my peers to serve on the KCC Alumni Association board, so I'm excited for that in the year ahead. The President mentioned about our conversations ongoing with Panasonic Energy, and we continue to reveal opportunities and working very closely with them. In fact, positioning some of our Department of Labor grant efforts on that relationship and growing our capacity to support the needs of companies, not just Panasonic, but others in advanced manufacturing. In fact, I'll stop for a moment. I attended, and you saw in my report, an event hosted by the Leavenworth Lansing Chamber of Commerce and the LCDC, Leavenworth County Development Council. They hosted Lieutenant Governor David Toland, who presented. He also serves as the Secretary of Commerce for the state. He presented on the state of the Kansas economy. Just want you to note that 48% of the recruitment deals that the state is centering on is focused on advanced manufacturing. So we're very much aligned with that work, not what we're doing with Panasonic, Orange EV, growing our automation engineer technology program, creating new pathways for our students, working with our university partners so that as students finish here, they either enter the workforce or they can continue on their studies in advanced manufacturing. So that's like when you hear us mentioning this month after month, it's because the state is so hyper-focused on bringing these opportunities into Kansas. And so we want to meet them where they are and create that talent pipeline that supports these companies that we're attracting to our state.
1 minute.
Thanks, Cheryl. We're meeting with Kansas City, Kansas business leaders to discuss issues challenging downtown. We want to stem business engagement there. So that is pulling together the work of our Downtown Advisory Council. Also, I serve on the KCK Chamber Board. There are those that are interested in teeing up a conversation around what do we do to take on the challenges that we're facing downtown. There are also downtown stakeholder groups. We're wanting to pull together to convene a broader group to really start to consider how do we tackle this? How do we take this on? For us, I've been down this road before in Tallahassee, creating a beautiful center. We want to make sure that as we go vertical on the center that we're doing everything that we can to lay the groundwork so that the ground is fertile and we're ready to host those that are coming downtown to enroll in our programs, engage our partners. So that work needs to take shape here. I do want to work more closely with the Community Relations Committee on this board because we need to pull that effort in alignment with the work that we're doing with the downtown stakeholders and the KCK Chamber Board. The president mentioned a multifaceted partnership with the KC Monarchs. I'm really excited about that. In fact, they've hosted 2 events over the last 2 weeks. You may have seen my post on social media about those. Came to find out that Eric Stone Street, one of the stars of Modern Family, is an alum of Kansas City, Kansas Community College. Mm-hmm. He enrolled here for a year. He was a track star, and he threw the discus and shot put, and so he came up to me during one of these events, tapped me on my chest as I was wearing my KCKCC swag and said, I've been looking in Rally House for this. I want some of that. So I said, well, we can take care of that. And so we'll get him that swag and make sure that he's dressed in KCKCC gear. We continue to meet with representatives from area businesses, including Penn Entertainment, that's Hollywood Casinos, to address their workforce needs. Also, University of Kansas Medical Center. I mentioned the engagement out in Leavenworth County. In addition to working with the Leavenworth Lansing Chamber and the LCDC, we're really trying to grow our relationship with Fort Leavenworth. We've had a long-standing relationship with the U.S. Disciplinary Barracks and JRCF out there, but we're wanting to grow with the Army Education Center, really to grow our presence with the fort. If you think about it, it's a small city, and they have varying needs, much like a small municipality would have. And so we're wanting to support those workforce needs now and moving into the future, and are really growing the relationship there. Finally, from an operations standpoint, we're really trying to focus our efforts in documenting business process, the way in which we operate, so that we can start to optimize that work. So that it's not siloed, it's not splintered, that it's streamlined, that it's automated, and that we are creating synergy among our operational units. That includes grants planning. We rolled out a new grants process because, frankly, we continue to see growth in that area. But if we are to not just sustain the current effort, but be in a position to scale, we've got to have a process, a framework that supports that scaling. And finally, you've seen the Chief Human Resources Officer position posted online. Also, the Vice President for Finance and Operations position is currently posted. We will begin interviews actually tomorrow for the Chief Human Resources Officer position. We'll be reviewing applications for the VP for Finance and Operations over the next week, with interviews to come next week or the week following. But a lot going on, and we appreciate your support. I welcome any questions you may have.
Well, just a quick comment, Dr. Balog. First of all, thank you for your excellent report. I tell you what, it just never ceases to amaze me between, you know, what you all are getting done, what you say you're going to do, what you actually do, which is even greater. But one thing that I was particularly pleased to hear about in your report was, you know, the fact that you're taking the time to document processes and identify synergies, because right now, just from a technology perspective, things are moving so fast that sometimes that exercise, if you will, for lack of a better word, gets left behind, and then, you know, you end up with downstream problems. So just, you know, wanted to commend you, you know, for your vision to make sure that you create that process framework. And it starts, of course, with understanding and documenting those processes as we move forward. So thank you for that.
Thanks for recognizing it. You know, oftentimes colleges will fall into the trap of buying technology, assuming that it's a silver bullet and it's going to solve all your problems. The reality is the technology is a tool. So we need to do our job to document business process, to optimize our operations, and then go out and find the right tools that can enable and support that work and the vision that we have. So I'm grateful for the President's commitment to this approach, certainly the board's, as he brought a budget request to you last month. And we want to make sure that any investments that we make are smart and that we optimize our return on investment that we make. We can't afford to waste it.
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
Absolutely.
And I have a comment more than anything. Out of respect to you and anyone else that presenting. I had cataract surgery yesterday, and just staring at that for so long just really bothers my eyes. So if you see me put this on, I'm not being disrespectful to any of our presenters. Just know that my eyes are really getting fatigued, and I'm just trying to protect them. Excuse me when I put these on, okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, and hope you feel better soon.
I feel fine. It's just, you know, this time of the day, they're fatigued.
Yep.
Dr. Balog, if I may.
Right. Not napping.
Just a quick question, because I know that I did see your post on LinkedIn for one of our key positions that are open. Is there anything that we can do as a board and as a community to help support making sure that we have plenty of candidates available for you all to interview and select from?
Thank you, Trustee Ricketts. I appreciate that very much. When we post those out online, especially positions like the Chief Human Resources Officer, like the Vice President for Finance and Operations, like the Chief Information Officer, once we post that position, if you're on social media, if you're working throughout the community, please share that information. Encourage people to visit our website, learn more about these positions, and share with their networks. Even if you're not online, even if you're not using social media, just to general awareness, to get that out into the community. You never know who will pick up on that, but you know, we've been fortunate. I was pushing that heavily on social media. We've got a good pool for the Chief Human Resources Officer position, and I anticipate a great pool for the Vice President for Finance and Operations. We're also making strategic investments in technologies that will allow us to be far more proactive and aggressive in pursuing talent. Those that are just quietly looking for jobs, but if their skill set and their experience aligns with our needs, we're going to go out and we're going to spearfish. It's not about line fishing anymore. It's not about net fishing. It's about, I want to spearfish. Let's go out and get the talent that we need to take this institution to the next level.
Dr. Balog, for 30 seconds, can you touch on the pilot we're doing with LinkedIn?
So with LinkedIn, that was actually what I was just mentioning. So with LinkedIn, we'll be piloting over the next 6 months an engagement with LinkedIn that allows us to be able to do just what I've mentioned, which is spearfishing. In fact, with our positions that are posted, we'll be able to review the skills that are associated that we're looking for with each one of those positions, and then be able to make connections with candidates that may be quietly looking, they may be publicly looking, but are there those in this metro, in different regions across the country, that would be interested in one of these roles? And so we're working within our HR team to identify prospects and reaching out to them. So we're reaching out to them, not just dropping a line in the water and waiting for the fish to bite. Yeah. That is the name of the game now. You can no longer wait. And so LinkedIn is really going to help us with that.
We'll be able to have 10 simultaneous positions, different positions up at one time that we can really be targeting on. And then they don't always have to be the same. 2 may roll off and 2 new ones may roll on. So we're going to do that for 6 months and see what we're able to gather from that. But
boosting those advertisements, direct messaging to prospects allows us to be far more strategic in identifying talent that may or may not be aware of KCKCC, but they will now.
Yep.
Great job.
Yeah, well, if we could get a guy from, say, Tallahassee, we ought to be able to get somebody from just about anywhere, right?
Amen. Well, I mean, but as you know, I've been talking with people in the industry about the roles that we have available, and they're, to your point, Trustee Ash, said target people in the Northeast. Mm-hmm. High standard of living, cold temperatures. They may be really interested in moving to a place where you've got a good standard of living, great quality of life, great institution. We have resources to do things. We are well positioned as a college. So look to the Northeast, look to California, look to these expensive areas where people are they're fleeing. Now's our opportunity.
Yep.
All right,
Tallahassee's not so bad. It's not Kansas City, but it's not so bad.
I still can't believe a guy leaves there, comes here. We're glad you did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bailog. Great work as always, and I agree it sounds exhausting, but we appreciate everything that you're doing, driving us forward. So
thanks very much.
We have a motion to accept the report, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, we have the Vice President of Academic Affairs report with Mr. Pope.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll just call your attention to a few things. It's at the end of the year, so there's a lot of things that are going on in academic affairs.
Yeah.
One of the things, if you'll remember, we have a report due to the HLC at the end of the year on assessment. And so one of the things our new Director of Assessment is doing is a lot of continued training to make sure that we continue that process that we put in place a few years ago. So you'll see some training that's going on through that office and nice attendance. I mean, 20 coordinators. I don't know exactly how many there are across campus, but 20 coordinators is a nice representation. Shai Perry, who's our art gallery coordinator, participated in an academic symposium. So you'll see the title, Creative Economy, What Is and How It Originated. And she discussed art as connection. I didn't get to attend it, but it sounded really interesting, you know, with my own music background, so it sounded like an interesting presentation. The Center for Teaching Excellence offered several training sessions, and I'll call your attention, the Blue Devil Faculty Academy is something that we agreed to a couple of years ago in negotiations, so through that process, and it's an extended onboarding for new faculty. So the faculty are required to attend. We've adjusted it so they can attend. The career and tech educational folks can attend at the end of their teaching day, and they get release time for doing that through the year. So I think it's a very helpful thing that we were able to agree on in negotiations. Several of us traveled to Junction City, Kansas for the Phi Theta Kappa students. We had that, Ms. Daniels had the Coca-Cola Award that we remember for those of us who attended. We had the Interdisciplinary Undergraduate Research Symposium, which took place in April, and you can kind of see some pictures. Dr. Kramer had a number of students that participated in that from his division, so there are actually a lot of pictures at the end. We had an art student who participated in a solo show in Lawrence, Kansas, so I think that's really exciting that she had an art show in Lawrence, and so you can kind of see some pictures there. Justice Burris, who's one of our majors, our digital imaging design, so graphics arts, is going to Kansas City Art Institute. So a nice place here locally that student is going to attend. We have an student art and literary magazine, which is a collaboration among several departments and several faculty and several students. So you can kind of see that there, and there's some samples that are shown. The Kansas City Jazz Summit, 71 guest middle school and high school ensembles performed at this event. And you can kind of see they came from all over the region, including Arizona. The basically Basie Heritage Big Band competition was held. As Dr. Mosier mentioned, the Downbeat Awards, the music department continues to shine, and we have more than double the number of awards over the last 4 years of the next community college, which is our, we kind of do things with that school at Southwestern Community College in Iowa. So they do a number of things together, but we've won more than twice, so 61 to their 30. So some really, really outstanding performance by the music department.
Smoking.
The students in career and tech ed, I highlighted a number of trips that they took. So you can see they went to the Engineered Airplane in DeSoto, Kansas. Multimedia and video production students went to the Black Archives of Mid-America. Senior culinary students catered the President's Centennial Celebration Dinner, as well as the Foundation's Hall of Fame luncheon. And if you went, the food was really wonderful, so they really shined. During the month of April, welding students toured the Intercontinental Engineering and Manufacturing Corporation. The Nursing Education Department held an open house, so a lot of students were there. Enrollment is up a bit in nursing, so that's good. They've not enrolled yet. Dr. Myers may mention this. We've had some staffing people who've resigned and gone on to other positions, or they've retired, and so we don't have the enrollment, but the students are admitted to the program. And so we'll get that enrollment stuff worked out. There's a couple of research articles that faculty participated in and presented, and so just a lot of stuff that's going on in academic affairs. Dr. Balog mentioned that we've started our negotiation process. We've actually had our first meeting. We have our second meeting scheduled a week from tomorrow, and we're using a facilitator that we've used before, Jim Albano. So I'll take any questions that you may have.
Jerry, how about Ella Fitzgerald event?
Oh, that's right. So as you know, we have a couple of students that receive the Ella Fitzgerald Jazz Scholarship. It's one of the first times, we're the first community college that they offered that scholarship to. We've had a couple of students now, and they've continued paying for this, or giving those scholarships to students after they leave the college. So the first one has gone down to the University of North Texas, and so he's continuing to receive this scholarship there. We received a grant to create really one-of-a-kind jazz recording library. And there are maybe 30,000 recordings right now, so some have been gifted, some that the musicians in the department had. Dr. Mosier gave us welcome and kind of an opening speech. If you got a chance, that space is really calm. The students use it all the time. If you're a musician, especially a jazz musician, part of your education is listening to and trying to copy, if you will, a lot of jazz solos. And so this is an opportunity for them to do that. And the chair of the board and maybe another board member were here.
Yeah, president and executive director.
Were here for that award, and they were just very excited. And actually talked about our theater department and said that they would really love to offer scholarships to theater students as well. So Dr. Bennick talked to Gary Mosby and said, hey, you need to come to this event. And so they've connected those two. And so we hope to have some more of those, to have some theater scholarships next year. It's really exciting.
Good news.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. If you ought to go see it at some point, the listening library.
They did a good job. And Learning Spaces Task Force money helped pay for, the equipment that's in there. So it's really nice.
And it smells like albums. So
yes, old school vinyl.
Smells like an album.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pope. Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion to accept the report?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks again. Next, we have the Vice President, Student Affairs and Enrollment Management Report with Dr. Myers. Evening.
Good evening, Chair and Board.
Good evening.
Very good. As Dr. Mosier mentioned, I hope everyone had a great time at commencement. As of today, we had about 530 students walk through out of our approximately 923 graduates for the academic year. And so very, very proud of all the work that everyone did to get that activity up and going. Specifically, shout out to Teresa Holiday and Miss Andrina Wilson, the registrar's office. There's many people have mentioned, but as you can imagine, transitioning from a in-person ceremony here, combining the two ceremonies and getting done in less than 2 hours,
wow.
I think it was a pretty good thing. So we obviously have
Awesome.
thank you. We have a debriefing meeting where we're going to start working on the finer points of that, but for all purposes, we think it was a very successful event, and like Dr. Mosier mentioned, it photographed beautifully, so the social media posts are great. Did also want to make mention of our tragedy in the basketball department of Mike McKees Taylor. His celebration of life will be May 25th, and the Department of Athletics is working to transport students along with Coach Brandon Burgett to that event that want to participate in that. His family did set up a GoFundMe, which last I looked was well over $15,000 in terms of support. So thank you for contributing to that. There was a former NBA player who remains anonymous that actually gave $5,000 towards that, also from PR, where Mike Keese was from. Dr. Mosier and Jerry did mention our enrollment. Let's talk about the good so far. It's all good, but summer continues to grow. So as you saw in the report that was in your board packet, it was about 9%. As of Monday, we are up 11% compared to the previous year. So we continue to grow in summer enrollment, which is really exciting. Often we think of summer enrollment as bonus enrollment, as it's towards the end of the fiscal year. So I think it speaks to the value that students are finding to stay enrolled during the summer and persisting towards their degree. We do have a little dip this week in our fall enrollment, as Mr. Pope mentioned, with the nursing enrollments and also catching up the high school enrollments. That accounts for about 1,421 credit hours. So right now, based on Monday's report, our enrollment was down 2%, but when we factor in those nursing students that will get enrolled, our head count and student credit hours are above 5% compared to the previous year. So well above the target of 3.5% growth for our SEM plan. Several other things that make of note. I've mentioned previously the challenges with the financial aid system and FAFSA simplification. As you know in the report, we are down about 36% in FAFSA compared to the previous year. The financial aid team is going through some tremendous workload right now in terms of getting the system set up along with our colleagues in information services. They are currently testing those loads into the system with the idea that we will be able to start notifying students of their financial aid award letters and missing documents when we come back from Memorial Day, about a month behind which we previously are, but we still think we're well ahead of many of our peers. The College Attainment Network put out a report last week, which I was reviewing earlier. FAFSA completion amongst high school seniors nationally is down 10%. In Kansas, it's down 19%. They also provide data related to school districts. And our school districts in our service area range from 29% to 4%. So as we anticipated, the most vulnerable populations are being directly impacted. So once we get the financial aid loaded, we'll be able to better identify our current and incoming students who have done FAFSAs or not done FAFSAs in many ways, and start providing much more targeted outreach to those local high schools and those students. So it's going to be a mad dash to the fall. I think one thing that speaks well to the progress we've made these last couple of years is our enrollment trends, where other schools are nervous, quite frankly. But I think we're in good shape to try to mitigate the FAFSA simplification challenges as much as possible for our students. I also received word today about housing. We are officially on our fall wait list with 9 students.
1 minute.
So we're very excited about that. And I did want to mention that with our Title III program, this is our grant, 5-year grant to strengthen developmental education and also our guided pathways. We've made a lot of progress. We did submit an annual performance report, which was in the previous report, which I noted in April. The federal program officer will be doing a virtual site visit with us to review that progress report. We did have some delays in hiring our staff, which has slowed down our progress on that. But and also in terms of having some data, anytime you write a grant application many years before it's awarded, there's always information that needs to be updated in terms of performance metrics, and we're working on those so that we can provide the most comprehensive report in terms of the progress of that grant to the program officer and showing that we're well positioned to continue supporting and improving retention and persistence, specifically of low-income students. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
And before we go on, I think it's fair to say, and we do have some challenges with what we have right now in our report, so we are working on that. And Dr. Myers has done a lot to mitigate some of those challenges. But we may have some points that they bring up that we'll need to work on, and it's almost to be expected, but that's okay. And we're we're getting a jump on that work early. So by the time that they do the visit, then a lot of that has been addressed, or there's a plan to address some of those shortfalls.
Wanted to go back to the FAFSA conversation just
Yes,
real
sir.
quick. A trend that we're also seeing in the county is lower numbers of families that are qualifying for free and reduced lunch count. And some of that we've found is just that we need to get the information to them. Other times we're finding that just the economic situation for families has changed in the last few years. People's wages may have increased, or with unemployment being low. Are you noticing any trend there where it's truly just that they aren't turning it in because they don't qualify, or is it really still the struggles that we're having with just the new system?
New system. This has been a complete transformation of the system. For example, with our college's student information system, we were having to rewrite and relook at every financial aid rule and setup that was set, frankly, when Leslie was in that position, which was 2008. So one of the things I've heard from our staff is, based on some of the questions that the federal government designed to simplify it, it's actually creating more confusion. For that. For example, there's a question that asks students if they'd like to report their family income, and a lot of them are avoiding that because of the issues in terms of getting connected to the IRS system to download the tax records. But what students are not realizing is that by not including their parental information, they cannot calculate Pell eligibility. So as we're loading these financial aid applications at the system, we are anticipating that we're going to have to start communicating many more of our students saying, if you want to be qualified for Pell grant funds, we're here to help, and we need to get your parental information back into the FAFSA. So it's a multitude of things like that of unintended consequences, which I think are scaring folks away. And I think that's impacting our school district numbers too.
Yeah.
I would agree.
We are certainly not alone.
No. As a parent that has had to.
There you go, right?
Just from, one kid graduating in 2020 to the 2024, it is a challenge. It is extremely challenging. And I know in USD 500 that we've had Gear Up has been hosting lots of workshops for students and parents.
Yeah, we actually have with Financial Aid Trio and Gear Up, and also we'll be offering bilingual college night. It's in the report. It's May 29th, and so we're trying to do as much as we possibly can to help our community get this done, because it is going to be a challenge.
All right, thank you, Dr. Myers. Informative as always. If there are no other questions, do we have a motion to approve the report, please?
So moved.
Second.
So moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we'll hear from the Vice President of Educational Innovation and Global Programming with Dr. Fabiola Reobe, and she is actually out of the country in Mexico working on some additional partnerships, development with post-secondary colleges and tech colleges. So tonight's report will be by a video recording.
Good afternoon. I'm really excited to report on this month's board report for educational innovation and global programming. Throughout our programs, we are seeing extenuous growth, particularly in our adult and continuing education. This coming May 23rd, we will have 24 GED students who will be recognized during graduation. We've also had the opportunity to work with our English language acquisition classes to provide more holistic experiences. For example, students had an opportunity to tour Central Solutions and go to the Kansas City Library. Not to mention, we had our Class 3 of our ELA students participated in the campus career fair. This is great stuff for us. We're also seeing a surge and growth in our continuing education classes. For example, our Ed2Go has risen about 69% registrants, and in total, we have about 1,300 students registered in our continuing education programs. High School Partnerships is working really hard, establishing strong partnerships, and really focused on developing a strategic framework to expand student participation in our career and technical education programs through initiatives that are focused on career exploration. Not to mention here, pictured, you'll see our matriculation mixer that was held on May 3rd, where we partnered with organizations like Gear Up that brought students onto the campus, and students were connected with key stakeholders at the college, really learning about the enrollment process and what it's like to be a KCKCC student. In our international services and global programming, we have 229 visa holders that were enrolled for spring 2024, and we're seeing a diversification, a huge mix in the different types of visa holders that we have on campus. So this is great. We're solidifying our partnerships with entities like the Salvation Army, and the team is working hard to really be engaged in other community initiatives, particularly with the Kansas International Educators. Another great thing for us is that in online education, as we're preparing our big migration to Blackboard Ultra that is going to launch in fall 2024, we're seeing faculty becoming more engaged and are spending more time in this new system. So we're excited about that. Not to mention, we're nearing completion of the new remote teaching studio that is actually going to offer us an alternative teaching modality, all in support of enhancing the student experience at KCKCC. Kudos to Workforce Innovation, because through different career events and school-based events and industry partner events, we were able to have 175 new engagements with potential students. So we're really excited about that. And I want to give a special thank you to our panelists, particularly our past board chair, Trustee Criswell, who served in our first 2024 Women in STEM panelist, which was an initiative supported by our high school partnership team, our online education team, in partnership with Ed Kramer and the School of Business and Professional Services. So thank you so much.
All right, not opportunity for questions then this evening, so do we have a motion to accept the report?
I just wanted to make a comment. I don't know if she's still on or not, but regarding the enrollment, and I was just, it was interesting to see all these other different codes. All we ever hear about is the F1 student, but there's an A2 or ASP, all of that. So it was interesting to see all of these other designations, because all we ever hear about are the F1 visa students. I didn't know that these other designations existed for our international students. So that was interesting. Thank you for sharing that. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have the Chief Marketing and Institutional Image Officer report with Ms. Chris Green. Evening.
Hello. Today I've got a presentation for you, and we're going to end with a video, so it'll be very quick and a lot of fun. So as we're looking here, the first thing I want to show is the wonderful signage that you'll see when you visit Monarchs. Not only are we on the wall, we are on the bullpen, so as pitchers warm up, we'll hear the Kansas Community College bullpen, so that's exciting as well. We have several activation opportunities. I know we're already in the preliminary stages of planning a student alumni staff night there as they end their season and we start our fall semester, and I'm sure more opportunities will present itself. And then we can look at commencement 2024. I just had to share the beautiful images from Sporting Kansas City. Our photographers did a wonderful job taking pictures at a wonderfully photogenic site with, of course, the best graduates in town. And I also want to point out that on social media today, we'll have a little commencement wrap-up video. And the academic program video project. This is just so you can see all of them that we have created over 3 semesters. We try to do between 2 and 4 a semester. Sometimes we do a few more. And tonight, I want to show you one of ours that we completed this semester, and that's the theater program. So Randy, if you would go ahead and start theater for me.
I chose KCKCC because I wanted to stay pretty local, and they offered such a great theatric training program. What I learned in the theater program was really an overarching view of theater as a whole. Everything from behind the scenes with tech theater, stage management, to on the stage things like stage combat, acting for on stage and both on camera.
You're learning from people who are actually in the industry. A good theater education can train you in wonderful ways for many, many different careers. Self-confidence, collaboration, how to work within a team, commitment, working with deadlines, and there's also a lot of critical thinking involved with being in theater. KCKCC Theater Program, I think we have a lot of opportunities for our students.
I love it every time I get to see a new round of these. We share these on program websites, we share them on social media, and they always get the best views and watches from that. And I also want to welcome 2 new departments to our Marketing and Institutional Image Division, Central Scheduling and Media Services. We'll be working with our area. They represent our institutional image in so many different ways. And that's my report this evening. I'll take any questions if you happen to have them.
I just want to say thank you. That video was great. I love those 2. Just it focuses on a single program at a time, which might really call out to somebody out there differently than just a general commercial for the institution as a whole. So it's an awesome project to keep see new ones coming out. Thank you.
We love that too. Thank you.
Yeah, great job. I love the new banners behind the podium now too. So
Yes.
I think that was Randy. Great job on that, Randy. It's a
Randy
beautiful
did
look.
great.
All these little touches, really makes a difference. It really does make a difference. So thank you.
Chris, it looks great. I'd be curious to see how you and Mary Spangler get creative on using some of the videos for the foundation.
Always.
Yeah.
We are always ready to collaborate. We talk on a very frequent basis.
Looks good. Good job.
Yeah.
Looks great.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the report?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we have the Chief Financial Officer report with Ms. Leslie Stroshine, our interim Chief Financial Officer. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The Finance Department is preparing for year end. The business office staff hosted some meetings last week, this week, and I think there's a few more next week, just to kind of share deadlines with everyone and help them prepare. June 30 seems to sneak up on us every year. So we just want to make sure that people get things paid out of this budget year that they intend to. Our purchasing and grant team is also reviewing grants. We have a lot of grants that have a fiscal year end of June 30. Some carry over into the next year, but it's really important that we monitor to make sure all of those funds get spent or encumbered so that we don't have to send anything back. That's free money. We want to use it. Facilities. Also, I just wanted to mention under finance the budget process, as Dr. Mosier mentioned earlier. We continue to receive more information from outside entities. Our state aid has changed a little bit. We got information on motor vehicle taxes from the county, so we continue to make those tweaks to the budget. We're also looking internally just to make sure that everything that we're bringing forward as internal operational expenses are strategic, are valid, are necessary, because we don't want to, budget anything unnecessarily, because the more money that we don't spend, we can help with taxes. We can look at tuition rates, and then we can always put money into reserves for these large projects that we have planned as well. Facility services continue to work on projects and manage updates to our spaces inside and outside. You may have noticed the new sidewalk that connects Centennial Hall to the Learning Commons. That was a great addition to campus. The weight room addition continues to progress. The subfloor and partial wall construction are done, so they continue to move forward on that. And then, as Dr. Mosier shared the picture earlier, the Centennial sign is up and has power. They've seeded and mulched around that area to get it recovered. Earlier, when it was dark and cloudy, I thought you might get to see it lit up on your way out tonight, but then the sun came out, so you'll have to check it out sometime. College police continue to onboard new officers. They have several going through the training at the academy. When those 3 that are there now and the 1 more that we're sending come back and join us on campus, we should be close to a full staff in college police, so critical to safety. Finance reports, Trustee Criswell touched on some of this. Our net position was down just over $1 million this month from last month. That's typical this time of year. We're not overspending necessarily. Our actual spend this month was under the average that we expected. It's just that there's not much revenue coming in at this time. The revenue that we did accrue for this month represents summer and fall enrollment. So of course that will continue to go up as enrollments occur throughout the summer. Expenses this month were slightly up, mostly in payroll, and that's because in April of each year we pay overload to our faculty for any hours they teach over a 15-hour full credit load. So that's usually one big payment in April. On the green and yellow finance report in your packet, one of the columns that we have on there, I think we've added in the last year or two, is a % of how much has been spent or realized to date. And so we touched on some of that with Finance Committee, and Trustee Quiswell just asked me to touch on a few of those. Our federal grant revenue and our private grant revenue are only at about 60%, even though there's only 2 months left in the year. But that's because a lot of those funds just haven't been drawn down yet. There's a lot of grants that we apply for, we get awarded, and then there's additional paperwork that has to be done and steps to go through before we actually receive those funds into the college. So we expect that to true up before June 30. Another one that's at about 60% is our county taxes, but our largest payment every year is in June. It'll be over $20 million in tax revenue, so that'll bring us whole in that area. Our expenses, as far as the budget to actual for this time of year, are right on where we think they should be, except for our repairs and maintenance to plant. We had some large projects planned this year that again just haven't been paid out yet. We had some roof repairs in there, standing up the lineman program, and just several other large things that just aren't happening because of delays in delivery and service and actually getting the invoices paid. So we just want to point that out, that we're not just over budgeting and blocking out funds that weren't going to be used, but that we intend to, and we hope to actually spend those by year end. As Trustee Criswell mentioned in her report, we are looking to invest more funds. We currently have several CDs out that are staggered so that we're not ever out all that cash at any one time. But with rates the way they are, we want to take advantage a couple more times before the rates go down. So we're looking to invest some more cash here in the next few months. Any questions?
Good report.
Yep. Great report as always. Thank you.
Good job.
We have a motion to accept the report, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have the Chief Human Resources Officer report, which this evening will be led by Dr. Mosier.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Sam gives his regrets for not being able to be here. He really wanted to be here, but he had a family emergency. So I actually had to say, Sam, go home. It's going to be okay. We'll take care of this. So he does send his regrets for not being able to be here tonight. One of the things that he really wanted to emphasize was the employee recognition and retirement ceremony that we had. And we kind of all touched on that a little bit, but we celebrated 132 employees when we count those who were receiving years of service awards and retirement. So it was a really great event. It's always nice to see people and to celebrate their time here with us at the college, no matter what award that they're receiving. And again, just a great job by everyone in making the, you know, that space just so beautiful with the drapery and the lights and the music and the food and all of that. So just a great event. So we appreciate everyone's input into that. You'll see that we continue to grow our training, our internal training and development. Sheila is the leader in that area for training development, but if you'll look at the report, you'll see that there are presentations that are put on by multiple people from across the institution. So along with Sheila, we have Angie Maslowski, Dr. Reem Rashid, Sharita Williams, Victoria Anderson, Sheila Joseph, Sam De Leon a couple times. So really doing that internal development and growing our capacity and working with each other to share the experiences and what we have learned in our positions with others, which is great. One of the new items that they're doing is the GLOW, which I love the terminology for that, which is growth and learning opportunity workshops. So come to a GLOW workshop, I think is great. Looking at benefits for the upcoming year and several projects that are ongoing with the Center of Equity Inclusion and multicultural engagement. So a lot going on in HR. Sam's doing a wonderful job serving as an interim. And again, he gives his best wishes to everyone for this evening, and that finishes his report.
Yeah.
Concludes.
All right, any questions for Dr. Mosier?
Move approval of the report. Wish Sam the best.
Second.
So moved.
It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have the Chief Information Officer report with Mr. Peter Gabriel.
Thanks, Leslie. It's rare that I have to move the mic up when I come up to the stand. I just have a few things this evening. I wanted to start off with saying that we were able to complete our project with the business office staff and Nelnet support to implement the setup of payment plans and one-time payments. And I know I'm forgetting one thing, Leslie, but sorry. And along with that project, thank you to Matthew Fowler and Sure Her, which out of that project would seem to be the most difficult thing, and a little shot at the Aleutian rep while he's here, was updating a link in self-service to make it point to the Nelnet website. So, but thank you to them for getting that set up so that students can get redirected to Nelnet to set up their payment plans and things. Randy, we finally have a air fiber network out to the soccer field, or at least to the middle of the soccer field. Network Services set that up after working with facilities to find out that what would be our fiber path underground from the baseball to the soccer field was damaged in a couple of areas. We came up with an air fiber network that provides full gig to the middle of the field. I don't know what to call it, the press desk, for better terms. So there's a small switch under the desk that they can plug multiple items into, and they get a full gig back to the network. So they'll be able to stream and do other things from there. I'm pretty sure Pat Kelly's probably listening, so I'm going to say thank you for putting up with me for a little bit. We got our IT training room back together a few weeks ago after we loaned out the tables and chairs out of it for I think it was a business office, temporary relocation for their remodel. And Pat was able to hold 2 or 3 sessions for training in there until I brought in a bunch of new tech to test out. But thank you, Pat, and thank you for jumping on to test that new equipment. It's some equipment that we're bringing in to hopefully simplify and reduce the complexity of the technology that are in the classrooms that we use for our hybrid or high-flex classrooms. So it'll reduce the physical amount of technology and the complexity of it, so all without reducing any functionality. So, and it'll reduce the cost. a couple of weeks ago, I had a meeting with our internet service provider, Unite Networks. They're also our fiber provider between our locations, to talk to them about how we're going to incorporate the downtown location into our network, and go through some different things, talk about an internet connection for that building, and then bringing them onto our fiber plan. What we currently do between our locations is we run a dark fiber, and what a dark fiber is there's no other customers on that fiber. It's just us. The problem with that is that it's one fiber, and if it's cut, we have no connectivity. So we talked to them about moving to a ring network. So we incorporate the downtown while we do it. We switch the others off to a ring network. So if that fiber between, let's say, this location and Tech 1 is cut, it has another route to travel to get back to us. So hopefully, I mean, not that we've had any reliability issues, but it'll increase the reliability if we have that option, and it should reduce our costs. So, and then finally, I wanted to thank one of my team members. They came to me a few weeks ago and they said, can we look at the student laptop checkout process and can we change it? And I said, sure. You're part of the checkout process every day. If you want to look at it and change it, let's do it. As long as it's easier for the students to finish and get done, I'm all for it. So I would like to say there's no paper, but there's only one sheet of paper that we send them home with, and that's basically the signed copy that they've filled out the information. It has the due dates and things like that back on it, but we're using a Microsoft form to intake the information to begin with, and it will help us and not only speed up the process to check out those laptops to the students, but it'll help us on the back end to communicate with them additional times for, reminding them when the return dates are and things like that. So that was Ty Watkins on my team. So thank you. I don't know if he's listening or not, but thank you. And I think that is it. There's a lot of other things that are going on, smaller projects. We're getting close to automating
1 minute.
The Centennial Hall. I lost my words here. Bringing the students in to set them up with their door access. So we're there. The first batch is going to come over for the summer semester, so we'll automate that. That'll take a lot of manual work off, adding students into certain groups and things to give them the access to the doors they need to get into the building and to get into not only get into the building, their suite and their individual rooms. So looking forward to that. But outside that, I'd be glad to take any questions if you have any.
I always have a question. No, I do have a quick question though. When we, especially on the downtown project, I'm going back to my old AT&T network days, and we look at a ring. I was so glad to hear you say that. Thank you. Trustee Ash didn't know where we're going, but I saw his eyes. He lit up a little bit. But when we look at our access at that downtown location, will we have the ability, or are we even considering opening up for external guests, or are we going to keep our network completely private just for staff and students?
No, we'll have a guest network, like a guest wireless network. We have one here. It's a pretty simplified portal. They connect to I think it's called KCKCC guest, the Wi-Fi SSID, and then it asks them for some simple information, name and email address, I think, and then they click go and they're connected. So we'll have that, because it'll be the same infrastructure, we'll have that same technology there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Gabriel? If not, do we have a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Motion
Thank you.
carries. Thank you. All right, moving on in our agenda, we do not have any scheduled unfinished business for the evening, so we'll move on to new business. And at this time, I'll invite the presentation of the approval of employment of auditor to audit all accounts presented by Ms. Stroshine.
Hello again.
Hello.
KCKCC has engaged Novak Burks LLC as the college's annual audit and our A133 single audit for our federal spending for over 10 years. The long history of that relationship gives the audit team a thorough understanding of the college and its operations. This consistency allows for efficient audit processes, especially while staff change, operations change and grow, and even accounting rules have changed. So it is the request of the college that Novak Burks LLC again be approved as our audit firm for this fiscal year FY24.
Finance Committee discussed this, and we would recommend that we do that.
Yep.
It mentions in the item on the agenda employment of auditor, but it's not changing. It's just a contracted service.
It's just an
like
engagement
always,
of the,
engagement
just a
letter.
wording
Okay.
difference.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I
So
will make
moved.
the motion.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Thank you.
opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, now we are ready for a presentation and review of the proposed Board of Trustees meeting schedule for 24-25 presented by Dr. Mosier.
Yes, thank you for that. You should have in your folder a draft the Board of Trustee meeting schedules for 2025. It reflects the same schedule that we have been maintaining these last couple years, with 9 out of the 12 meetings in the evening, and then 3 of the 12 in the morning, 1 at each physical location, 1 at main campus, 1 at Tech, and 1 at Pioneer Career Center. Adjustments have been made for holidays or other events that make us change from, like the budgeting approval process. That changes us from the 1 week to the next week, like from the 3rd week to the 4th or the 2nd or something like that.
Yeah.
But we followed the same process for the creation of this calendar. So I don't know if you want to take and look at it this month and let us know if there are any questions or any other comments at this time.
Well, my note in the agenda did say that there's no action to be taken at this meeting, that it would be approved in June, but I did want to have some discussion about it, board, as you probably saw my email. I received responses from most of you back to it about the idea of switching some of the 3 morning ones to evening. It does work a little bit better for those who have full-time employment outside of this board service. There was one trustee who made a good point about the Pioneer Career Center and maybe not wanting to drive back from Leavenworth at night. So my idea was possibly keeping that one as a morning, but switching the other 2 to evening. Is there any feelings either way on that, other board members?
I'm open. I do prefer not having to drive back at nighttime from Leavenworth. But outside of that, I'm open to whatever we need to do to support the board.
I agree with Trustee Ricketts.
Okay.
And the Pioneer is an October meeting too, so.
So are the other board meetings all here?
Yes.
Unless it notes otherwise on that, yes, the morning ones are at the different locations.
Oh, they're not here.
One of them is, one is at the Pioneer Career Center in Leavenworth, and then the others at Tech, just down
Like we
State
did
Avenue.
last month. Last month it
Oh,
was
okay,
at
so
Tech.
basically here.
Yeah.
Then
Yes.
the 3rd one is here at main campus in the morning. And then all of the evening ones are here at main campus.
Except the one that's in Leavenworth.
That's at daytime,
9
Oh.
o'clock.
as proposed. Here.
Yeah.
I kind of
Okay.
like the schedule we've had the last couple of years. I like having the 3 daytime meetings because I think it gives people at the different locations, it's out there. I mean, it's an opportunity for them to, come, participate, be a part of it. So I favor what we're currently looking at here.
I favor the current schedule also.
So 4 days and 4 days and 8 nights.
3 9 a.m. meetings
Right.
and 9 5 PM
Yeah, yeah.
meetings.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Plus
Yeah,
our
yeah.
special meetings 1 hour prior if
Right.
necessary.
Right.
Okay, if the board is in agreement that we want to keep this one, then that sounds great. We will move forward with that, and we'll have that on the agenda for approval at our next meeting then.
And as you're reviewing this month, if you see anything that stands out, maybe a possible typo or error that we have made, please feel free to reach out to Cheryl and I and Chair Isnard.
Just for the record, I'm open for either way. I do prefer, well, I'm open for either way, even if it's driving Leavenworth at night, but I did suggest that Leavenworth might want to stay in the morning for anyone who may be apprehensive about driving at night from Leavenworth in October, because it could be snow.
True.
Excellent point.
Okay, so how about this then, since we've got a month to think about it, if you get home and have some more thoughts on it, if you want to email those to me, I do have our weekly one-on-ones with Dr. Mosier and I, so as I get more feedback, I can communicate that to him, and we'll bring the board's consensus to the next meeting then.
And if we need to do a vote, we could do a vote.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds good.
All right, great, thank you.
Okay.
All right, board, that brings us to the end of our agenda for this evening. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. We are adjourned.
All right. Thank you, everyone.